Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm finally back with another video, and today's going to be my December TBR, which hopefully will come out on December 1st, which would almost be a first for me in a way. But yeah, Nonfiction November is just wrapping up. Had a great time with it, as usual. Granted, I read a lot of nonfiction anyways and all that, but always great to, just spotlight nonfiction more and more. Things like that. Definitely was kind of absent in November. Uh, yeah, that was basically it. I have been thinking of some creative ideas for 2022, and I got some high hopes for some of them. Some are total just, I know that they're just going to totally either one, flop, or second, I'm not going to actually have the ambition to do them. But I do have some exciting ideas. One little thing that will be coming back will be literary walks, where I kind of did my nature, literature, book talk walk thingies. We finally got some snow here in northern Maine. It's only took, till December to get some. But we will be doing that, things like that. And Tim is finally coming back from Canada, so after his, schooling stuff. So definitely have him in a few more videos as well, which will be exciting. But enough of that mumbo jumbo kind of stuff. Let's go ahead and go on to my TBR. I think what I'm going to start doing is limiting them down to a couple books and actually kind of sticking roughly to those ones at least for the first half of the month. Feel like I just kind of take one or two books off the TBR and then just throw the other ones away essentially. So let's just go ahead and get started. And since December is like the month of holidays and whatever, I'm going to treat myself to a history book on a topic I really enjoy, which are the Punic Wars between Roman Carthage and ancient history. And this one is Robert O'Connell's The Ghost of Kainnibal in the Darkest Hour of the Roman Republic. And as you can tell from the title, it's all about the Battle of Cannae. Now, this is like the third, of the trifecta battles that Hannibal initiated at the beginning of the Second Punic War. The first one would have been after he crosses the Alps, the Battle of the River Trebia. And then that would be 218, 217, there's the Battle of Lake Trasimene. And he wins both of those pretty handily. Rome's kind of getting fed up. So they send out a two double consular armies. Normally, a consular army is roughly 17 to 20,000 men of about, two Roman legions and two allied legions. And then they doubled it, and then they gave each of these, each consul a double consular army. So roughly 70 to 80,000 men. Meets about 50,000 of Hannibal's troops, which would have been, Carthaginians, Iberians, Celts, things like that. And then they get completely just knocked out of commission. Roughly 40 to 50,000 dead, 15,000 captured, and only about 15,000 escape. So just one. I think it's in the Roman Republican era. It's there's only one other battle that's worse in terms of casualties and whatnot. So I think this is kind of all about kind of the lead up to the battle and kind of maybe different vignettes of the generals involved. Paulus and Varro on the Roman side, obviously Hannibal, things like that, kind of, the aftermath. I bet you there probably is, I hope there's a few chapters on kind of the aftermath, because there's that famous quote where he decides to not march on Rome and kind of consolidate his position with some of the Roman cities like Capua and stuff defecting to his side. But some of his journals said, we should go on and just try to take Rome. Right now, well, we got the upper hand, and he decides not to. And his general says, you know how to win a battle, Hannibal, but you don't know how to use it, things like that. So I'm hoping there's kind of a good discussion on sort of that one, because that kind of goes back and forth with a bunch of different scholars and whatnot. But yeah, I'm kind of just gushing about this topic. So there, the Ghost of Kainnibal is one that I'll definitely be reading in December. The next one, I'm going to try actually do a reread as preparation for something for 2022 in January and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to do a reread of The Story of More by Hope Jarin, how we got to climate change and where to go from here. And this book is definitely one of I've actually loaned this out to a couple people to read, because it's basically just sort of the most down to earth, this is the problem with, what is going on in our societies today, with overpopulation, overfishing, carbon emissions, everything all that kind of stuff, agricultural problems, we grow 15 billion bushels of corn in the United States, and only about 1 billion is actually used for food. The rest is, basically cattle feed, which, they have to cut down on all these other forests and stuff for pastures and whatnot. And then obviously corn syrup, which is its own problem, whatnot. But anyways, it's a really good down-to-earth primer. Just kind of gives you just, what is kind of going on, and like some of the numbers are just like, really staggering and stuff. But it is a nice, like, kind of quick, short read. You definitely it's definitely one of my gloom and doom books per se. But she doesn't really try to give off like a gloom and doom feel. It's more like, these are just like the facts, and we've got to sort of accept it so we can actually like, move on and get something done about it. But yeah, I got a kind of a plan for some of these books, and that's going to be why I'm reading this one in December. Alright, next up we have another history book from Pen and Sword Press, and it's John Granger's The Galatians, Celtic Invaders of Greece and Asia Minor. I don't know too much about the Galatians. I do know obviously they're kind of like a Gallic Celtic tribe, from kind of Western Europe, and right around the time of Alexander, a little bit after, during the wars of the Diadochi and stuff, they sack Delphi, the Galatians do, rampage through Greece and stuff, and then settle in Asia Minor and build their own like little kingdom state that sits in like where Turkey is today, and they kind of like have their own kingdom there, into the kind of like the Roman Republican era for like couple hundred years in there. So it's kind of interesting. And actually, I can't remember if one of the provinces becomes Galatia. I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyways, what's interesting too is like in the New Testament, the letter of Galatians that Paul writes, that's where Galatians come from, because he's like writing to a bunch of churches that are in Galatia and stuff. So it's kind of a neat, I think it's going to be a neat book, kind of learning about like the Celtic Gauls that actually went into, Asia Minor, which I think a lot of people, even those that study kind of like ancient history and stuff, don't always realize quite how far-ranging the Gauls were. Like just Latin culture just spread sort of like everywhere and everything. So I think that'll be definitely a cool book. I do like Pen and Sword Press because they do, like I said, ancient and medieval. Actually, I think they do pretty much any kind of like, vaguely military history setting. But very niche topics. Like you're not going to find many books on the Galatians. So definitely excited to learn more about them. Alright, next up we have two more nature books, and this one is a book I was sent by Chelsea Green Publishing, which is actually really cool. Company, or employee-owned publisher, I guess it is a company, but employee-owned publisher, and they got really cool stuff, and I actually asked for this book, and so I actually need to read it so I can actually do a review and stuff. It's Vicky Hurd's Rebugging the Plan, the remarkable things that insects and other invertebrates do, and why we need to love them more. I actually have read quite a few insect books. I got a couple here. If I could find, broadsides from the other orders, Pursue Hubble, which is really good. I got Bugged somewhere in there. I don't know. Anyways, read a lot of nature books and everything, but, I have so many pictures of bugs, and dragonflies are like one of my favorite, I guess, nature-y things that I try to take pictures of. Dragonflies and damselflies are the order Ordinata. But anyways, totally going off the rails again on something completely like random. I read part of the book already so far. What's cool is it's sort of more of like a primer on, this is literally how we're going to like fix things, and we should like start doing it now. And some of them are kind of like, bigger, kind of more like non-profit type level stuff. But then a lot of it is actually, what you can do in your backyard, or like in your neighborhood, or like your town or municipality, things like that. Just to kind of help promote, pollinators, insect life, things like that. So I think it's actually going to be really cool. And like I said, it's kind of a cool down to earth, let's actually get some stuff done, at your own level, like, just in your own neighborhood. So I think that's actually a really cool way, because I think a lot of people become pessimistic with the gloom and doom stuff. Nothing I do matters, where even just from what I've read so far, she's literally like, if you got a yard, you can literally just do this year and help insects out. Because I think a lot of people don't realize how bad insects are getting it right now, just from like all the, different like, sprays and things, like farms especially, utilize whatever, that are pretty indiscriminatory. It's called like insectageddon, is what a lot of entomologists are using as a term. And roughly, from what I understand, even just in the United States, just from about half a century ago, there's about 25% less insects, just like number of insects, than there were back then, which is kind of a staggering amount if you consider just how many insects there really are in a given area, especially the size of the United States and whatever. But yeah, definitely interesting so far. Be kind of glad to see how it kind of pans out, and definitely will do a review of it if I don't just ruin the book by throwing it on the floor. Before I get to the last one, definitely want to, promote my Etsy shop, what do you call it? What do people call them? Shameless self-promotion or whatever. This November was actually my best year ever for my shop, where I sell signs like this. These ones actually aren't finished. I had just burnt them literally like an hour ago. They smell really good, except you can't, smell it over the YouTube channel. But anyways, over the video. But anyways, I shall be miserable if I have not an excellent library. That was like my terrible Jane Austen impression right there. And then like some Ralph Waldo images. I thought these ones actually worked really good for the channel just because, they're like super bookish. But I got like bookish ones, got nature ones, philosophy ones, all kinds of stuff like that. Like I said, really helps the channel out. Theoretically, in my pipe dream universe, if I had really good months like this November all the time, I would just like quit my job and just do 2 videos every day and make signs and make people happy, all that kind of stuff. Anyways, on to the last book. We have Song for the Blue Ocean, Encounters Along the World's Coast and Beneath the Seas by Carl Safina. This is like my big boy book of the month. I read one other book by Carl Safina earlier in the year, and it was Voyage of the Sea Turtle. And I thought it was fantastic, and I was disappointed no one had ever like recommended me Carl Safina before. I'm sure there are people that have, and I just didn't like notice or remembered it or anything. But he's written a whole bunch of books on basically oceanology and different things related to the ocean. I think this was his first book and kind of put him on the radar as like a really good nature writer. And it's sort of just a primer on like the condition of how all the world's like oceans are kind of like doing. I think it was written in around 2000, I want to say. So I'm not 100% sure how out of date theoretically it would be now, but definitely still going to be a good book because it's, from what I understand, it's a combination of sort of like a personal memoir, sciencey stuff, like travel vignettes, all kinds of different stuff, kind of floating around and jumbled together. But he's got Peter Matheson reviewing it, and he's got Sylvia Earle. So I mean, if they're recommending it, it's got to be a good book. Plus, like I said, I've read one of his other ones, and it was really good. So I plan on reading kind of like his entire bibliography. Sounds really good. Might be a little sad, but I think I'm definitely gonna like learn a lot and appreciate it some more. So there we go. Those are the 5 books I definitely actually want to read in December of 2021. Let me know down in the comments below what the book you're most excited to start reading this upcoming December. I'm always on the lookout for more books and what other people are reading, things like that. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of cool stuff. And always remember, whatever you read in December, read victoriously.